Holy Sunday, we're adding also a reading from Isaiah. Isaiah 60, verses 1 to 6. Now the prophet Isaiah is written over a period of time during and after the people of Israel were in exile in Babylon. Their nation had been destroyed, their temple was sacked, and their life was completely changed. From Babylon, they looked back and longed for their beloved homeland. And then after 50 years, they were given permission by the king of Babylon to return. Many of them did, but returning was harder than they imagined. The country was in shambles and needed rebuilding. To this discouraged group of people who have returned to find their homes in ruins, Isaiah writes a vision, an imagining of a renewed nation bearing light to God's world. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord has risen upon you. For darkness shall cover the earth, and thick darkness the peoples. But the Lord will arise upon you, and God's glory will appear over you. Nations shall come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your dawn. Lift up your eyes and look around. They all gather together. They come to you. Your sons shall come from far away, and your daughters shall be carried on their nurses' arms. Then you shall see and be radiant. Your heart shall thrill and rejoice, because the abundance of the sea shall be brought to you. The wealth of the nations shall come to you. A multitude of camels shall cover you. The young camels of Midian and Ephah, all those from Sheba shall come. They shall bring gold and frankincense and shall proclaim the praise of the Lord. And then from Matthew chapter 2, we read about the visit of the wise men. In the time of King Herod, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem, asking, "Where is the child who has been born King of the Jews? For we observed his star at its rising and have come to pay him homage." When King Herod heard this, he was frightened, and all Jerusalem with him. Calling together all the chief priests and scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Messiah was to be born. They told him, "In Bethlehem of Judea. So it has been written by the prophet, 'And you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah. For from you shall come a ruler who is to shepherd my people of Israel.'" Then Herod secretly called for the wise men and learned from them the exact time when the star had appeared. Then he sent them to Bethlehem, saying, "Go, search diligently for the child, and when you have found him, bring me word, so that I may also go and pay him homage." When they had heard the king, they set out, and there ahead of them went the star that they had seen at its rising, until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw that the star had stopped, they were overwhelmed with joy. On entering the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother, and they knelt down and paid him homage. Then, opening their treasure chests, they offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they left for their own country by another road. Hear what the Spirit is saying to the church.
What child is this who lay to rest on Mary's lap is sleeping, whom angels greet with anthems sweet, while shepherds watch are keeping. This is Christ the King, whom shepherds guard and angels sing. Haste, haste to bring him, Lord, the babe, the Son of Mary. Why lies he in such mean estate, where ox and ass are feeding? Good Christians feed what sinners hear, hear the silent word is pleading. This is Christ the King, whom shepherds guard and angels sing. Haste, haste to bring him, Lord, the babe, the Son of Mary. So bring him incense, gold, and myrrh, come one and all to own him, the King of kings, salvation brings. Let loving hearts enthrone him. This is Christ the King, whom shepherds guard and angels sing. Haste, haste to bring him, Lord, the babe, the Son of Mary.
Will you join with me in prayer? Loving God, you have given us an incredible gift, the light of the world, a light to shine on our lives and guide us. And we thank you, and we ask that the words of my mouth and the meditations of our hearts shall be a part of that light, shall be a bearer of that light, so that the actions of our lives might bear your light to the world. In Jesus' name. Amen. So have you ever been in a place that is really, really dark? That is without light. Yeah? Have you? It's an amazing experience. In the city, it's really hard to find such a place because there is so much light pollution everywhere you go. You can never really get that kind of dark. Back in 2006, I did a ministry exchange to Ireland. I handed over 6 weeks and my keys to my car and the keys to my home to an Irish Methodist minister. And he came to Salmon Arm and he did 3 weeks work and 3 weeks of play. And I went to Carlow and Kilkenny in Southern Ireland and did 3 weeks of work and 3 weeks of play. And I traveled around with my kids and had a great time. Lots of really good memories. But one of the memories that really sticks in my mind is a place that we went to caves. Did you know that Ireland has deep, deep caves? It's really cool. And there was this one place that we went. And we went to the cave and we had a guide because this was a network of caves deep in the earth and you kind of needed a guide. So we walked down, flight after flight after flight of stairs into these huge, cavernous caves that would open up under the earth, and these huge stalagmites and stalactites where the water comes down and minerals solidify and crystals solidify into these long kind of pillars, and sometimes they even join so they become this incredible pillar in these massive rooms the size of this space. Incredible. So we kept going down and through passageways that narrow and then widen out, almost like something out of Lord of the Rings. It was really quite incredible. we got to a place, a gathering place. We were on boardwalks, and there was about probably 20 of us, and the guide was sort of pointing out things as we went along, and we got to the place, he was explaining what was in this particular cavernous place, and then he turned the lights off. Just without even missing a beat. And it was dark. There was no light. And you know how your eyes, you think, okay, well, just give it a second. Let my eyes adjust. It's just that, the light has changed. And we're used to that, and our eyes do adjust. Not this time. It was like after a minute or two, it's like your eyes were aching as the pupils were getting as wide as they possibly could, stretching to try and find some source of light, but there was nothing. For a minute or two, the eyes were just searching. And then, after a minute or two, the tour guide went a bit lighter. One little lighter. And the whole place lit up with just the one light from one lighter. And our eyes it was like our eyes were just drinking in the light, thirsty for those mere couple of minutes without light. And we could see an amazing amount just from this one light. You don't need a lot of light to show the way through deep darkness. But there's got to be some. In history, the Hebrew people were supposed to be God's light. A chosen people demonstrating the love and justice of God, which was to be light. The light-filled intentions of God for the world. That was what was supposed to happen. And if they really did it, if they really followed God's way in all faithfulness, the whole world would notice that there is a light-filled way possible for us. The whole world would notice and focus and be drawn to them like eyes drawn to a single light, a mile under the ground. Their demonstration of love and justice would be a source of light that eyes were thirsty for. Today is Epiphany Sunday, the day in which we remember the story of those three astrologers, stargazers, who saw the light and followed it, thinking they were on their way to worship a king, and finding instead a baby in a little house, but recognizing that baby, even so, was a powerful sign of God's light that was shining. And for me, Epiphany comes after a really busy season, and then after a little bit of rest that follows that busy season. And I've really come to appreciate that the echoes of Christmas that come in that time of rest after Christmas is finished. And I think it's a combination of the message of hope at Christmas and the beauty of it and good sleep. And the turning of the year also kind of does it for me. And it leads me to dream in new ways. It kind of stokes the dream world in me. Imaginings come. I mean, Isaiah was dreaming together with the people who had returned to their homeland in after years in exile. He was envisioning when Isaiah envisioned, he saw the Hebrew people getting off their lounge chairs of self-pity and stepping up and being light. Realize that they actually, even though a time of rebuilding is absolutely necessary, there is an intention in them as a people to be light. Isaiah dreamed in that time that he saw and wrote what he saw. Arise, your light has come. You may not be able to see it, but it has come. The Lord will arise upon you, and the light of God will rest upon you, and the nations will see you as a bright light and will come. That was Isaiah's dream. Well, I've been doing a little dreaming over the last week or so. I too can see God's light. And unlike the astrologers who looked up to find a sign of the light of God and then followed that light that was way up in the sky, one of the things that I imagine for our time is that light has come, but it's not up and out. It is here in the space within, and it is here in the space that is between us. The light of God inhabits that space that is the connection that we have with one another, that can light up if we are open. I believe that's the place we need to look. And I imagine people walking through the doors to this place, whatever door they come in, and however they come, and for whatever purposes, they would experience that light. The one that's in and the one that's between. That is created by God, but that needs us to step into it. I'm imagining this place, as it has been for years and years and years, and in a renewed sense this year, be that kind of source of a quality of lightness that people would experience. That is not put off by the exterior of one person and drawn in by the exterior of another, but rather sees the light within everyone. That we notice the light when we find ourselves in the hospital and someone visits us through the ministry of Highlands United Church, and there it is. There is light. That we notice it in the challenge of a new and foreign perspective. Oh, maybe that's light for us. That we notice the light in the eyes and the heart of someone whose beliefs and ways are not ours, but in noticing, step into it, rather than stepping away from it. Because there's light there, divine light. That we notice God's light in the many, many small ways in which it shines in our lives and is shared, and we are given strength and courage and hope through the hands and hearts and ministries of one another. We are stargazers, but the stars are scattered all among us. I had envisioned that we not only notice the light among us, but that we would have power within and within this community. That the light that comes at Christmas would be an activating force for each of us and for us together. So it's not just something that we experience with our eyes, but it's an energy that propels us into ministry together here and ministry beyond. I'm imagining the light of Christ, which stands there symbolically, but which I can see everywhere. The light of Christ being not only a source of light, but a source of energy, with the power to heal, the power to open minds and hearts, with the power to right wrongs and recreate community and heal the earth. That light of Christ, we discover that by the light of Christ, we discover a road, a way, a ministry, a reason for being together that we're drawn into because the light is there. That light will guide and will give courage and will embolden us to risk putting ourselves as a community out there as a real, genuine place to be courageous as Christians. In this time after Christmas, when the trees are put away and the lights are taken down and the house is back to whatever normal might look like in your world, we are left with a light that shines in the darkness, and the darkness simply is not able to put it out. It doesn't have to be big. An activating light, a light that Howard Thurman wrote about in his poem, The Work of Christmas. When the song of the angels is stilled and the star in the sky is gone and the kings and princes are home, and when the shepherds are back with their flock and the tree is away and the lights are down, the work of Christmas begins. To find the lost, to heal the broken, to feed the hungry, to release the prisoner, to rebuild the nations, to bring peace among all, to make music in the heart, and I would add, to bear the light. That's the work of Christmas. The work of Christmas is not setting up the tree and getting it all ready and doing all those things. That's not the work of Christmas. That's the activity of the celebration. But the work of Christmas is starting right now. Opening to God's light, like opening an honest conversation, can be risky because it reveals and it challenges. God's light shines in the stables of our hearts and banishes all the little Herods that would snuff it out. And God's light shines, giving us energy for the real work of Christmas. Happy New Year. Welcome to the work.